then afterwards we'll take a review of the whole earlier meetings. Today I'm very happy to introduce our close friend and what you can say as a well-wisher, Dr. Prakashchandra Maithani. He doesn't like a very elaborate, introduction. However, for the knowledge of others who do not know Maithani ji, I would like to inform that Dr. Prakashchandra Maithani ji is a distinguished expert in renewable energy policy and rural development with a PhD in physics and a postgraduate diploma in public policy and management from IIM Bangalore. He has played a key role in shaping India's renewable energy landscape as the senior official at the Ministry of New and Renewable Energy. His work has advanced decentralized energy systems, promoted sustainable energy access in rural areas, and contributed to landmark initiatives such as the National Solar Mission. Very few of you may be knowing that he was part of the famous Paris Agreement, which our Honorable Prime Minister signed in Paris about the solar mission. Dr. Maithani ji is also an accomplished author, having written Renewable Energy in the Global Context. He has represented India in numerous international forums, advocating for clean energy and sustainable development. His leadership and vision have had a profound impact on the renewable energy sector, particularly in empowering undeserved communities with sustainable energy solutions. He was also a fellow and a professor, part-time professor in a famous organization, Tata Energy Research Institute. He has also been a source of inspiration to Vivekananda Kendra for more than 3 decades and very close to my colleagues, Dr. Paran, Sri Madan and others. In fact, without giving any appointment, we'll just go to his office and sit in his cabin even if he's absent there. And he used to entertain us and guide us in many of the activities or projects we have undertaken for MNRE. We look forward to exploring his vast experience and insight in today's conversation. The topic which he has chosen is greening of the electricity sector in India. I request Dr. Maithani ji to take over. Thank you.
Pranam, respected Bastevji and other present respected fellows. I'm really humbled. I'm not that, I don't have that much background, but anyway, it has always been my fortune to be associated with Kendra for more than 3 decades, and I vividly remember my first interaction way back in 80s, late 80s or late 80s, when I visited Kanyakumari, and thereafter it became a lifelong association. And my association with...
You can switch on the video, please.
I'm on mobile. Let me see that. It's okay. Yeah.
It's okay.
So this association with Kendra has guided me throughout my professional career as well as my personal life also. Whenever I am in any kind of distress or I seek some answers in life, I always look for Kendra to see that how life should be stirred up. 2 days back, a respected Bastevji asked me that I should speak some topic. So immediately, impromptu, what came to my mind that I can just give what is called that top angle view of India's electricity sector, because my understanding is that all sustainability today is linked to the energy, and energy is touching every aspect of our life. We cannot consider or we cannot imagine a life without modern energy services in the present world. Every nook and corner of the world, if you see that what the development is and how people are living, how the civilizations are growing up, it all is linked with the energy use, how we use the energy systems. starting from animal power, thereafter based on the steam engine, and then slowly going for different sources, and then found an energy carrier in the form of electricity, and it has changed the landscape of the world. Today, we can't imagine any services without electricity service. In fact, we all know that slowly we are graduating, or we are moving a developmental path um, whereby the liquid fossil fuels will be replaced by the electricity services. That is a move going on. In what matter it has to be there, that is really time to see. But what I thought that to be a limited point, that how we grew in India and where we are now, just give a small thing, and I will take not more than 35-40 minutes, respected sir. That is fine.
Yes, sir.
Okay. My presentation I have sent to Sridharji. Can he load it immediately so that I can start it? Because I am really poor in loading from my system.
Incidentally, Prakash Chandraji has settled very nicely in the lap of Himalayas in Uttarakhand at Gopeshwar, and very closely associated with Sundarlal Babuguna and Bhatt Sahab also. And that's why he's so close to environment apart from renewable energy also. He is regularly contributing to our Kendra Patrikas, and those who have come today's podcast for the first time, you will be surprised to know that today is our 102 meeting. Non-stop every Sunday for the last 2 years we are meeting, except for one Sunday in between there was a Diwali. On that day we skipped it. Otherwise, I think it is really a record for a non-stop we are meeting, and Prakash Chandraji is contributing regularly with his critical comments for our exhibition.
My inspiration from Kendra, that we decided to move towards the Himalaya region, and there is a small place called Gopeshwar. It is in the central Himalaya, very near to Badrinath temple, around 2.5 hours or 3 hours distance from here. And my father had built a small house here, so myself and my wife relocated here. So since then we are staying here, and this keeps me going. My association with Kendra. So insofar as electricity is concerned, look at in India, the way I have planned the today's presentation is that first I will talk about the electricity sector, what exactly it is, and what is the legal framework for the electricity in the country, and how electricity is produced in this country. What are the nuances on that, and how we are moving to green this electricity sector, because this is one of the major source of not only the localized pollution, whenever those who are privy to the thermal power plants, or the ills associated with nuclear power plant, or issues associated with other kind of power generation, they know it, not only the localized pollution, but in the form of the carbon emission, which is really one of the major menace, and one of the major consideration for the global committee, that how to reduce the carbon footprint of the energy sector. So in the energy sector, electricity sector is the prime mover for the carbon emissions in this country. About 77 to 78% of the coal which India produces is used for power generation. So you can imagine that it is more than it was good old days, it is 800 plus million. Now it has crossed 1 billion plus tons per year. This much coal is being exhibited for within the country used, and about 80% of this coal is used for the power generation in this country. So that is a major concern. And what are the issues of shifting from coal for the country like India? That is one of the major issues. And everything, see, there are any change in the technologies, or the thing requires it should be affordable. Number one, it should be convenient, it should be safe also, and it should have a long term prospect. So these are the background thing. So if you look this way, then we can see that our electricity sector started, I take it from 1947. That time, around 1,300 megawatt installed capacity was in this country total, and most of it was from hydro and 500 plus megawatts from hydro and balance from the coal-based power plants. That was the total scenario. From 1,300 megawatt in 1947, within 75 years, we have reached more than 4 lakh 41,970. We can roughly say that it is around 4 lakh 42,000 megawatts. Yeah. So next slide. Thank you, Sirvaji. Sorry. So this is the structure which I propose to speak today. That what is the electricity sector? What are the legal frameworks associated with the electricity sector? What is the renewable power up to this period? It is 2030. How we look at it and beyond. And what is the renewable purchase obligation? Means that what is the affirmative action government of India is doing to switch off from the coal-based power plant to renewable sector. And finally, what I realized that apart from anything, that what matters for switching over from the coal-based power plant to green energy is the technologies. What is the stage of technology? I have taken one simple example of the storage technologies, and hydrogen is a part of the storage technology. Just to give an idea that other technologies are there, because any move to green the energy sector cannot succeed unless we have robust, convenient and affordable storage technologies in our hand. So this is the total outline which I will be speaking. Next slide, Siddharji. I'm my the way I speak, it is understandable or any issue, it's fine.
Understandable,
Anybody?
sir.
Okay.
Understandable.
Okay. So this is the installed capacity. I was mentioning that at the time of all them, for the sake of record purposes, all the data in this today's presentation, which I have jumbled up yesterday only primarily, has been taken from the Central Electricity Authority, which is the repository of all electricity sector and power sector data in this country. So this is almost authentic. And apart from that, somewhere I have used the resources from the Ministry of Power and Ministry of Renewable Energy. This is all. So that this data is having sourced from most reliable sources. So as I was stating that the total installed capacity in megawatt means that what megawatt capacity, roughly speaking, 1 megawatt is something that which it is all 100% rated capacity will be generating 1 megawatt hour of electricity. Electricity. To say so, 1 megawatt hour means that 1,000 kilowatt hours. 1,000 kilowatt hours means 1,000 units. 1 unit is 1 kilowatt hour. So generally in the layman's language we use a word, what is 1 unit. So 1,000 unit makes 1 megawatt hour. So broadly speaking, if we have the heaters of 1,000 one unit which are burning, so 1 megawatt hour can simultaneously burn 1,000 heaters at a given time. So this is the total electricity thing. So in 1947, 1,300 megawatt. Slowly we graduated to more than 4 lakh 42,000 megawatts by the year 2024. If you see this graph, this is quite interesting that the major shift taken place from 2012 to 2017, and thereafter it grew quite rapidly also. So this shows that how the electricity sector, if you see in the year 2000, broadly we say roughly 1 lakh megawatt we were in our hand. So within last 24 hours, 4.4 times the installed capacity has increased in this country. So next slide, please. Next, please, Sridharji. So now in the power generation, there are many sources. As I said, coal is the major source of electricity generation in this country, and followed by now renewable energy. Good old days, the hydropower was the major. Then nuclear is there, and a small portion is from gas or natural gas or diesel for the islands and other purposes. Some power generation capacity is from these sources also. So, as I said, out of 1300, around 800 was from coal-based power plant in 1947, which has increased to 2,17,000 or 2,18,000 roughly, we can say, in this year, by and large. So we can say how much times it is significant increase has taken place. And here also you see from 2012 onward, country has given real focus on the power generation, and within next 5 years total capacity addition was 70,000 megawatt plus, and then it got stagnated over the period, and now it is 2,17,000, and slowly country is moving in a direction that where coal based power plants will be reduced and its share will be decreased over the period, but still it is in the increasing trend because country's power requirements are increasing significantly. So coal is the main source of electricity generation in the country as of now. Next slide, please. Huh. So now the second is the hydro, which is the 25 megawatt plus. We say the large hydro. Generally, we say you see from 500 megawatt, it has reached to 46,900, roughly 47,000 megawatt as of now. So there was a steep increase in the hydro also, and significant progress has taken place in the hydro power. Next slide, please. It will be nuclear based. So in the nuclear, you see, we had great fanfare from the, from the Trumbe when it started. It went critical in 60s, 70s, and then from 640 megawatt, we have been trying it and adding it, but the progress has not been as envisaged in the initial phase of the nuclear power, and we are around 8,000 megawatt power is stored capacities from the nuclear power. Nuclear power is a dual purpose technology, so some aspects are controlled within the country, but most of the nuclear power generation is controlled by the international laws, from where we'll source our fuel for the nuclear power, how much we can do for it, what international eyesight and monitoring is there. So there are many issues, and what the raw material which is being used for nuclear power generation in the country is primarily not available in the country, and country has been trying to move to thorium based power plant, but it is going to take some more time. So it is stagnation. There were one or two power plants went critical. So from 6,780 to 8,180, it increased in last year only. So nuclear power is also adding, but it's not that a great share. Next, please. Renewable energy is something, if you see, we have taken it from 2009-10, and that time it was around 15,000, 13,000 megawatt, and it has reached to more than 2 lakh megawatts now. And if you see, because purposely I picked up the slide where we see that from higher, because it is a basket of different technologies: renewable energy, small hydropower, wind power, biomass power, waste to energy, and solar. Initial phase solar was very costly, and after launch of the National Solar Mission in 21-22, 2011 and 12, small portion of solar power started being injected into the grid, and its progress really became steep from the year 2014 and 15 when this government came and major initiatives for the solar power were taken. Now we have reached, if you see, solar power from 2000 megawatt to around 3000 megawatt in the year 2013-14. It has crossed 81,000 or 82,000 megawatt to be broadly speaking. So you can see that from 3,000 to 82,000 within last 10 years. This is a great galloping progress in the solar power in the country which has been made. But next, please. So if we see the total composition of the installed capacity in the country, you will find over the period the share of renewable energy has increased significantly. Today, the total installed capacity around 4 lakh 42,000 megawatts, and out of this 1 lakh 44,000 megawatt or roughly 32.5% of the total installed capacity come from new renewable sources. And if we include hydro in it also, then it comes to 32.5 plus 11, so it is 43% from the only renewable energy sources, hydro, large hydro plus other sources. And coal source, which was primarily 90% plus in good old days, have reduced less than 50% now, and with the total installed capacity of 2,17,589 megawatt. Diesel, gas, they are the small, nuclear power 1.5, 1.8% only. So still today, in terms of installed capacity, coal based power plant is the major source of the installed capacity, major chunk of the installed capacity in the country. So this is the sum and substance. But next slide, please. When we see that how much power these sources generate, next please. How much power these sources, Siddharji, next slide. How much power these sources generate, you will find that although the coal share is only 50% in the installed capacity, but their share in the power generation last year was about 75%. Because you see, the renewable energy and other sources does not generate electricity all the time. Hydro is also seasonal. Sometimes it is more, sometimes it is less. With the 46,000 megawatt, hydro is contributing to about 8% in the generation. But with the 2,25,000 megawatt renewable energy, it is only contributing 13%, because the wind, solar are really time specific. The energy is thinly distributed. So the moral is that for the renewable energy to generate electricity, we require the large capacities if we compare with the coal or large hydro. Coal with the 50% of the installed capacity is contributing about 75% of the total electricity generation in the country. In other words, our country, 3/4 of the total electricity requirement in India as of now, despite the best progress which have seen last 10 years in the renewable energy sources, coal is the backbone of the electricity supply in this country. So this is the point. Next slide, please.
Sridhar, you change the slide, Sridhar. Huh?
Yeah. So next slide, if you see that the per capita consumption wise, we see from 16 kilowatt per person in 1947, we have reached roughly 1,400 kilowatt per person in this country. A lot of progress has been made, but still the India's per capita energy consumption is 1/3 of the global average. Means that average Indian consumes only 1/3 of electricity what the other people in this world consumes, because primarily the developed world is consuming much more than that what India consumes in the electricity terms. Next slide, please. Sivaji, just So now, what is the point greening? Why it is required? So broadly speaking, Indian coal, if we see the total margin, built up margin and total emission factors, roughly 0.97 tons of CO2 is generated for generating 1 megawatt hour of electricity. What does it mean? For generating roughly 1 ton of CO2 is released in the atmosphere if we produce 1 megawatt of hour of electricity from coal. Implies that 1,000 kg, 1,000 kilogram of carbon dioxide is released in the atmosphere. 1,000 kilogram of oxygen, carbon dioxide means what? How much? Roughly it will come that divided by 3 and 0.6, so it comes around 250 or 260 kilogram of carbon. For generating 1 megawatt hour electricity, around 260 kilogram of pure carbon is emitted in the atmosphere in the form of CO2. It is equivalent to 1 ton of CO2. And if you see in the 2024, we total electricity generation was 1,300 thousand, roughly how much we can say that 12,09,94,852 gigawatt hour of electricity. and this electricity was generated from coal-based power plant. So it translates into roughly 1,294.8 million tons of carbon dioxide, or 350 million tons of carbon in the atmosphere. So for 1 year, the total carbon which is emitted in the atmosphere from the coal-based power is 350 million tons of the carbon. What close the eyes and imagine that how much carbon dioxide we are emitting in the atmosphere. So this is only a case where India is only 4% or 3.5 or 4% of the global average. So how much carbon is being emitted in the atmosphere and how much this atmosphere is getting polluted due to this thermal power generation in the for the electricity purposes. In case of diesel, it is little less, that one ton of one megawatt hour from diesel will not release 1 ton. It is little less, and how much we can say it is little less, 0.75 or something equivalent that. So this is the main crux of the thing, that how this carbon dioxide which is going in the atmosphere for electricity generation can be reduced over the period of time. This is the whole world is looking for this word, that this becomes very important and very paramount, that how what kind of efforts has to be made so that it becomes geo. Here comes the question that how we are greening the electricity sector. This is the total task in hand, is make this 350 million tons of carbon which is going to the atmosphere zero over the period of time. Next, please. Now, next, I'll give a little glance that what the legal framework for the electricity is there. In the 1947, when India Constitution was Constitution of India we adopted in 1950. States can make law and central can also make law for that. They are functionally independent. State can make their own policies, regulations, everything for the electricity, and at the same time, center can also make the overarching policies for the electricity in this country. And if there is a conflict or something is there, then central legislation always prevails. And central government implements policies, program to support the states. I give a small background that up to 1970s, it was only states were doing that. There were electricity boards, they were their small grids, and they were within the state. But that time it was realized in 1974, 75, no, it will not take place like this way. There are many states where there is no capacity for moving ahead. So central government subsumes the all responsibilities and created bodies like this. In 1975-76, National Thermal Power Corporation was constituted. At the same time, for the transmission purposes, the National Transmission Body, which is in the form of the what is called that PGCL, Power Grid Corporation of India, was constituted, and all other measures were taken that Government of India took subserves the responsibility of making the all India network for electricity and electricity generation in this country. So again, the tax on consumption and sale of electricity is the state subject. State governments can take tax. They can put tax on the electricity generation and all these things. And for the interstate transaction, if electricity is going from one state to another state, it is the central government's domain. And within the state, it is the responsibility with the state government only for interstate sale, purchase, distribution, and supply of the electricity. Next slide, please. So broadly, just to give an idea that how it works, it is very complex, and I may perhaps not do justice with all the things, but to give a top angle view, that state electricity generation companies are there, central power sector units are there, independent power producers are there. Suppose a milling factory of the Hindalco is there, they make their own power generation, and captive power plants are also there. Similarly, the transmission utilities, our central government had PGCL, every state had their state transmission utilities for the electricity transmission, and there are other licenses also we can generate and transmit at their own. Distribution is done by the distribution companies in each of the state. Every state has a distribution company for electricity. Some state has more than one, like in Karnataka there are 5 distribution companies. Some states have given distribution tasks to private sector also, like Torrent Power in Gujarat, or Tata's in Bombay, even in Calcutta. They are not controlled by the government. They are in the private sector. They buy electricity from different sources, and thereafter they distribute it. consumers are the different categories. This is a really a major political issue in this country, that whether domestic consumer, whereby I require light for my house, industrial consumer, there are big factories, they require light, and what power, in what manner, and agriculture and commercial purposes for the like malls and others, they do that. Everybody has their responsibilities. Central government make legislation, policy, acts for that. Tariff regulations are done by, there is a body which is the regulator, which take arbitrage between central government and other bodies, that is called Central Electricity Regulatory Commission. And on the same lines, every state had State Electricity Regulatory Commission. Their main role, to make it simple, is that to fix the tariffs, that at what cost the regulators, but the electricity companies will sell the electricity to the consumer. So the process goes like that. Suppose, take it this way. Suppose it is a city of Bangalore, and Bangalore has X electricity consumption. Electricity cannot be stored. Whatsoever electricity is produced, that has to be consumed simultaneously. It cannot be stored that way. Only small storage devices are there as of now, but not large scale. So it has to be planned very, very meticulously, that what is the demand and how much we have to be supplied, from which source it has to be supplied, whether it is from the coal or it is the renewable power and others, all are mixed, and there are the regulators which sees that how much power distribution company is buying and at what cost, and how much margin they have to take, and at the same time at what cost they will provide to the consumers, at what rate. To give a small example, in Maharashtra, there are 35 categories of the consumers, 35 categories. If it is my domestic light, then 2 rupees per unit. If it is a the shop, it is 4 rupees per unit. If it is a big industrial unit, it may be 8 rupees per unit. If it is for other purposes, same way. For the agriculture, subsidize, many categories are there. So this is really complex, that the power, electricity sector, power costing, or what is the tariff for the electricity. Every year a tariff regulation is passed by the state regulator, so every state is bound to go with the tariff, what are the cost of the electricity for that particular state, but it has never been honored that way. And that is one of the reasons that electricity sector is one of the most, what is called that, it is not in profit. Every 4-5 years, Government of India has to come with the bail package for the distribution companies. And the last, in 2020, I remember it, 1 lakh crore rupees roughly was somewhere somewhere waived off one way or other, because they were converted into bonds and others, because this was the total deficit of the electricity distribution companies in the country. And there is a body for the grid operation at the national level and a state level also. So because this is a strategic subject also. Next slide, please. So first Electricity Act, this is the regulatory framework for the electricity, for renewables. Within that, Electricity Act is the overarching act which provides that in what manner electricity should be used in this country, whether it is for consumption or it is for safety or it is for generation or it is for tariff setting. It has many provisions which before this Electricity Act 1910. So for the paucity of time, I will not go in these details. But the Electricity Act 2003 speaks of that certain provisions are there for the renewable energy in that provision, and it takes that every state can fix some kind of renewable purchase obligation that they have to buy from. Similarly, same provisions were in the tariff policy certificate was made, whereby it was notional that any state which go more than RPO can generate some certificate and sell them in the market. States make policies, they make the renewable purchase obligation. Nowadays, solar rooftop is quite common. You must have seen that net. I remember, maybe perhaps he called in major detail that what is the net metering, and also that how much forecasting and scheduling for the renewable and other sources has to be done. That is all the state policy regulations have come up for that purpose also. Next slide, please, Shivaji. So if you see how renewables have been promoted over the year, Way back in 1940, 1993, 94, 100% accelerated depreciation was given for the renewable. Then MNRE in 95, 96 came with the policy for tariff guidelines. Then power sector structuring was done, whereby the renewable energy was given some kind of due in the intervening year. And Electricity Act, which when implemented in 2006 and 7, first time the RPOs were instituted within the country. And similarly, every period of time, and major milestone is that National Action Plan for the Climate Change in the 2009, under which National Solar Mission was launched, provided a affirmative action for renewable energy in this country. And another RPO trajectory was notified under tariff policy in 2016, whereby it was made that by 2021, 22, around 21% of the total electricity will come from renewable sources of energy in this country, which has not been achieved. And similarly, in 2022-23, RPO trajectory was extended for 2030. So you see that every time the way renewable is growing slowly, and different policy injections have been made at different point of time, so that its dissemination become faster and faster. Next slide, please. So apart from the how the power is being sold, if a power project, what they will do, they will sign a power purchase agreement from the distribution company which is in the state, that is there. Third party sale to consumer means that if some third party is there, they will sell that electricity to them, not the distribution company, to others also. Hindalco is there. If they want to buy power directly from a power station, they can do that. They are the large buyers, or for that purpose, any big factory and others. And another option is that they can sell the power in the exchange. There are two power exchanges in the country. One is the India Energy Exchange, another is the Power Exchange of India, which is located, one is located in Delhi, another is in the Bombay. And the routes, this power purchase agreement, either it is competitive bidding or it is the average power purchase cost plus the equivalent to REC if it is through the REC route. And non-REC projects are the market determined process from the sale, and likewise also. So just to give an idea that there are 3-4 options for selling the power, and the large scale is available, whereby the distribution company buy the electricity and sell to the consumers like us. Next, please. So just to give an idea that apart from that, in exchanges you can sell electricity. I can say that I will generate tomorrow 10 unit of electricity, and I can sell it in the exchange, Indian Energy Exchange, and some buyer is there, they can directly buy from the exchange also. So this provision is also available. So there are different kind of markets have evolved over the period of time. That is the green term ahead market. Now daily contracts are also in place, but this market share is only 5% of the total energy which is produced every day in this country. So around 5% of the total energy means that if 100 units are consumed in this country, then 5 unit of electricity is traded on the exchange. In the peak hours, sometime people buy electricity at the cost of around 15 rupees per unit or 20 rupees per unit. I have seen that. But if it is at the daytime, plenty of solar is there, the power will be only 2 rupees or 3 rupees or less than that. It goes this. Just to give a rough idea how it works, maybe sometime later, but this exists. Next slide, please. So this is all about the regulatory framework. The message I was trying to convey is that government of India from time to time has been providing facilitative regimes, whereby the regulations, policies, tariffs are fixed for more speedier implementation of renewable power. So next, up to 2030, if you see over the period, in 2010-11, the cost of solar was around 13 rupees per unit of electricity. But now the generation cost of solar has come down to around 2 rupees per unit of electricity. Similarly, the wind, which was initially 6-7 rupees, have come to around 3 rupees per unit. So the message is that the price of generation from renewable sources, which are carbon free, have reduced significantly over the period of time. So this make it cost-wise competitive. But there are issues, I'll tell about them later, that why still it is not that cheaper despite the generation cost is less, and what are the issues associated with that. Next slide, please. So this Central Electricity Authority in 2021-22 did a study, and they say how much electricity will be required in this country and what source, how it can be sourced. You must have seen that the total power generation capacity is around 500 GAX now, and they say by 2030 it will go up to 431 GAX. 831 GAX means that around more than 8 lakh 30,000 megawatts will be there, and electricity terms it will improve significantly. And out of this, the total share wise, the generation from the solar will be 1 lakh megawatts plus today, and it will increase by 3 times within next year. 3 lakh megawatts by solar and 140,000 megawatt by the wind. So this is the major. Still, we are somewhere 1 lakh megawatt with the solar. So within next 5-6 years, India is planning to 3 times its solar generation within the country, and by that time, which share is only 13% from the solar, wind, and other renewables, it is proposed to be increased roughly by 40% plus. This is the total target today. Government of India CA feels that it is feasible and it can be done. Next slide, please. So, with this in 2022, Government of India mandated that by 2030, about 43% of the total renewable power has to come by 2030. This is what they planned. So this is there. Today it is roughly 20% plus 22%. So increase it gradually from this share of today to about 44% by 2030, and solar and wind will be the major source of energy by that time, which will produce electricity in this country. And because solar and wind are intermediate powers, they cannot be generated all the time. So when there is a requirement, then storage technologies are also very important, and energy storage is seen to be one of the major input for this. And they say about 4%, 1 to 4% of the electricity storage will be there by 2030. This will be required. Next, please. So this is all what Government of India is looking for, this increasing the share of renewable energy. We feel that from 22% today, by 2030 we can go up to 45% of in the electricity terms, not in the installed capacity terms. Electricity terms will be more than 70% or 65% from the renewable sources, but by 2030 in the terms of energy also it should be more than 45%. This is the aim. But where the shoe pinches, what is the Achilles heel? So it is the technology, because solar and wind technologies are not in our hand. We can only predict that how much generation is taking place, and this is fed to the grid as it generates. And if that time electricity demand is not there, what we are doing, that coal plants are being shut off, they are rescheduled, their plant load factor is being reduced. Good old days, coal power plant was up to 80% PLF or 85% PLF. Now they have reduced to 57, 56%. And now aim is that the coal power generation should be reduced to 46-47% by 2030, means implies that they will be running roughly half of the time. Rest installed capacity will remain there, and balance energy will come from the renewable sources. But here comes the role of the storage. Unless we can store renewable energy in a big way, it is not going to happen. So what is considered that energy storage can become a viable option for speedier greening of the electricity sector in the country. That is one thing, and there are many things that how it will happen. Broadly speaking, that if we generate electricity at daytime when power is not required, it has to be stored, and this power should be utilized on the time peak demand like evenings or other times when it is required. Next slide, please. Look, what is the spectrum of the storage technology? Because we made energy storage mission in the Government of India back. There are different kind of storage on the market. One is the mechanical, electromechanical, thermal storage, electrical storage, chemical storage, that is in the form of hydrogen. Mechanical storage, pump hydro is there. You generate electricity. From electricity, you pump the water at certain top height, and thereafter use that water when it is required. Similarly, compressed air. These all are on the, except pump storage, pump hydro, the compressed air and flywheel are only on the research and development stage, and to an extent at demonstration stage. In the electrochemical sector, battery segment is one of the major segment which has made a major difference over the period. That I'll tell about the lithium ion battery and others, how they are making a difference now, where 1000 megawatt capacity batteries are being installed in Australia, or 2000 megawatt, where only whole city is being supplied electricity by solar energy generated, stored in the batteries, and they are supplied to the whole city. Thermal, it is the molten salt which is used in the solar thermal power and others, but these are again on the demonstration stage. Capacitor wise, they are not doing well, but still these concepts are there. Chemical source wise, hydrogen is something which is a great promise. Hydrogen is not a energy in itself, it is a storage device whereby the renewable sources or energy from other sources is stored in the hydrogen form, and hydrogen is used either for power generation or for running your vehicles or for hard to abate center like in the fertilizer making, or in what is called that oil refineries and other places. So the hydrogen is something where Government of India has also launched a green hydrogen mission. There was a lecture by, I forgot who gave a great lecture in this podcast series on the hydrogen. So this is a subject in itself. But the moral is that unless storage technologies are become cost competitive, environmentally benign, and affordable, larger penetration of renewable energy or greening of electricity sector will remain a constant. Next slide, please. So just to give you an idea that in the storage technologies, there are different storage technologies are there, and two technologies, lithium ion batteries and pump hydro, are the one of the most greatest promise technology in our hand. Next slide, please. Cost wise, you see, when in 2010 the cost was $1,000 per kilowatt hour for the lithium ion batteries. This is expected to go roughly around less than 150 dollar per kilowatt hour, or $100 per kilowatt hour. So this is a great leapfrog. Within next 20 years, from 2010 to 2030, we are expecting that the prices of the batteries will go down. Although the issues are with the chemical storage in terms of their environmental benignness, as well as their how minerals are exploited, what the strategic availability of these minerals is there. These all are issues, but this technology is giving a great promise that how the technologies can move. So the point is this: either we talk of hydrogen or talk of the chemical sources, unless they become robust, the beyond a point penetration of renewable energy is going to a major issue anywhere. Next, please. So my final slides that there are issues with the renewable greening of the electricity, particularly if you say that renewables are there, high initial costs are there, financing risks are there, although these have reduced significantly over the period of time. And as I said that solar has gone from 13 rupees per unit to 2 rupees per unit, but the solar has to be transmitted, the transmission grid has to be prepared for that, which is a really a cost intensive things. Sometime I know that instances that you are generating solar power in 2 rupees per unit, but 1 unit transmission from one point to another point is costing 3 rupees. So by the time that electricity goes to the consumer's end, it will cost 5 rupees per unit, and what are the leakages in that is around 6 to 8%. So we will be getting, instead of 1 unit, 0.8 or 0.9 unit of the solar power at that point. So these are the issues, but a large number of people are working on that. And other major point is that the whole world is looking for the technology answer for the renewable energy. Innovation in the field of the transmission of solar energy, its generation, conversion to hydrogen, conversion, storing in the batteries. These are the options, and other options are being attempted to. So we are looking forward. This is the most happening time globally. Most happening time. Every day we are coming across that one small incremental gain has been achieved. A small example, that good old days, if you generate 100 unit of solar power in a particular location, around we could use, because forecasting was not proper, we could use only 80 unit because just rest was going lapse. But now precision has gone up to the 3% of the error. So this is a great achievement. That, but how much solar will be generated tomorrow, we can predict it by the fair precision. Similarly for the wind and the storage technologies, a basket of technologies are on the ground. So the conduit technologies are being attempted. Different countries are taking different route. Japan is going in a big way for hydrogen. India has also launched a green hydrogen mission. European countries are a lot of efforts in the electric, what is called that, storage technologies, particularly in the electric vehicles form, or the storage lithium-ion batteries, other redox batteries, other kind of batteries, molten salt batteries. So everywhere some incremental improvements are taking place. So next slide, and the last slide perhaps, is that we aim carbon neutrality by 2070. And as I said, that non-fossil fuel 500 GACs by 2030 we are planning. Carbon intensity reduction is being planned. But to be precise, this everything is looking for the sound technology answers in the terms of that, whether they are affordable and comfortable. So in the global climate negotiations also, people talk of that how the developed countries are providing technologies or finances, and India is really looking at that heavy investment is being done in the restructuring of the total renewable, total electricity sector, whereby all grids are being augmented, all transmission lines are being built at the different places, new networks are being created. So this is one of the most happening time going on, although it has limitations and constraints. But I must say that being within the system and outside the system now, that there is real sincerity of efforts at all the levels. Country cannot afford to go for without electricity. Our consumption should increase at least 3 times to make in the better position, either manufacturing and others also. And for that, how renewables can become the best candidate, that is a challenge before us. Before us. Thank you very much. And I tried to be fast, but still it took me much more time. Every slide is a subject of a talk here. But anyway, thank you very much for listening me so coolly. Thank you very much. Pranam.
Thank you, Prakashji. Very informative presentation. Although I gave only 2 days time, but your slides were excellent. Graphics and other information. Thanks to you. Now over to other participants. If they want to have any questions, please ask. Madan can take over. महेंद्र जी, आपको कुछ पूछना है? महेंद्र जी, our old colleague, actually is based in Delhi. Whenever I go to Delhi, I stay in his house. And I'm sure Mahendra ji, you must have accompanied me to meet Prakash ji sometime or the other. I'm sure about it.
Achha.
Mahendra ji also is a student of Vedanta and studies. Now he's meet 80 plus, but regularly goes on studying and listening to lectures on Prasaratri. That is his speciality. And whenever I go to his house, he goes on giving doses to me, which go above my head.
It was a great lecture indeed, and very informative. Lot of thanks to Prakash ji. God bless you.
Pranam sir, thank you for the blessings.
Pranam, pranam.
We have our old colleague Sunil also has come from Kochi. Sunil, you must have heard about Prakash ji when we were working for our biogas and all that. Sunil worked with me as well as our Madan and Padan. We were a group of workers who were working earlier. So, Sunil, you would like to say anything? You are looking very smart with the specs and.
It was very, very informative with all the charts and graphs and all that. And and that concept has really made very simple for us to understand. And let us hope that the carbon emissions and the pattern that you have shown, where the solar and renewable energy sources, how much we are progressing in that field. It was very informative. Thank you, Maithani.
Uh,
Sir.
Sunil, by the way, I have met you, Vivek, in 80s somewhere. Am I correct?
Yes. At Kanyakumari only.
So nice to see you after a long
Long
time.
time, yes.
Great. Great.
Okay, so thanks, Maithani, for the presentation. How the other countries manage? You said they consume 3 times the power, and I mean 3 times per capita consumption by the developed countries. But then, how are they already into renewables in a major manner? And overall, how they continue, or how they are in the sustainability perspective?
Yeah. Thank you, Valipanji. Since 2006, 7, most of the countries have taken emission reduction as a major challenge, and the countries, particularly the developed countries, European bloc, USA, and Japan, and Australia, they committed to reduce their emission. So many of the European countries are out of the coal now. Either they are producing electricity from gas or from renewable sources. To give example, Denmark is 100% renewable by and large in the electricity generation. Britain, last week only, Britain shut down its the benefit in the European part is that the large hydropower basins are there in the Finland, in Sweden, and other Nordic countries. That act as a reservoir whereby they generate electricity from renewables. Germany is one of the most shining example of how renewable energy has changed the landscape. There 70% around electricity comes
From the renewable energy now. Denmark around 100%. In the case of UK, 25% from nuclear. The rest come from the different combination of gas and renewable sources. France still generate around 60% of the energy from nuclear power, and rest 40% they manage from different sources, including a portion from the coal-based plant. But their energy consumption is much high. I give a typical example. The Germany total size and what is called that total population is equivalent to the population of Uttar Pradesh in India. But their energy consumption is equivalent to India's energy consumption. Per capita term, it is more than 7-8 times of the per average Indian. Similarly, USA is the same case. USA 25% from nuclear, around 30% from the coal, more than that, and they are moving in a big way for the what is called that that gas, shale gas. There was a shale gas revolution for last 15 years there. So primarily the energy intensity, carbon intensity has been reduced by using the shale gas in the USA. Japan, some hydro, and rest they are importing sources for the hydrogen or other things, and they are using it. Now they have massive plans that they will liquid hydrogen they will buy from Australia, which is produced from the solar energy, and they will use that liquid hydrogen in the for power generation in Japan. So these are the things happening, but coal is being phased out in many of the countries. Still, it is being used in two major consumers of the coal in the world are there. One is India and another is China. If you see China's coal installed capacity is around 13 lakh megawatts. India's total capacity is 4 lakh megawatts, but China's coal installed capacity is only 13 lakh megawatts. Huge. And if you see last 20 years, their whole manufacturing sector got boom with the electricity consumption, and they are at par with USA, and in emission terms, they are more than USA now. So these and whole pressure of the world is on these two countries, ours as well as China, that how they will phase out coal for their power generation. So this is broadly, and sometime we can talk on the international scene also. Thank you.
Thank you, Maithani.
Well, already 11:10. I think we should switch over to our other topic.